Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you could solo over an A minor 7 chord. So kind of just taking one chord and kind of talking about different sounds that you could use to say some things over that. One popular scale, and one of my favorite scales actually to jam with over this, would be an A minor pentatonic scale, where you'd be playing A's and C's and D's and E's and G's and A's. And actually, whatever note you're playing with the first finger kind of lines up something I call pattern number 1. So you'd have kind of 5-8 on the E, 5-7 on the A, 5-7 on the D, 5-7 on the G, 5-8 on the B, and then 5-8 on the high E. So this is kind of a typical pattern to kind of move around. And actually, whatever note you're playing on the low E string, that's what minor scale it is. So it's kind of an A minor because that's an A note. There's lots of lick ideas you could use with that scale though. You could kind of play around with kind of hammer-on ideas, kind of thinking technical ideas. Or you could do pull-offs through that scale. It's kind of a lick idea. You know, kind of a concept of kind of playing the first note and letting the finger fall off the string to get the sound to carry back. Or you could do slides between the notes of the scale. Try bends, where you kind of press up and into the guitar at the same time. Can be kind of cool. Or even doing a big bend and kind of trying to do a lot of little teeny bends. Kind of a vibrato idea. Can be very expressive too. Or you could put two notes together, kind of a double stop idea. Kind of playing two notes of the scale. There's lots of places where you can kind of do that through that pattern. Or you could even kind of find other ways to kind of stack it up. So that can be kind of cool, taking little pieces of the scale and working them. So you might find some sounds that way that you kind of dig on. Or something else that I like to do actually is working rhythm ideas. So you kind of take an 8th note idea, kind of dividing the beat into 2 parts and kind of work that through the scale just to kind of practice that rhythm idea. Or you can try triplets, kind of working 3s, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or you can try doing 4s, kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of working 16th notes.
fill could be kind of cool against the beat too, actually. So there's a lot of things you can say with that scale, just kind of working that as kind of a general idea over the chord. And we're going to kind of start general here and get more specific. So you might want to kind of take that scale pattern and then kind of experiment with it and kind of see what you can say with it. Another scale that can be kind of cool to use over an A minor chord is a C major scale. And actually, this is a little weird, but A minor is normally kind of related to C major. They're only one note different. And so if you're familiar with the major scale pattern, you could go to 8th fret on the low E and kind of work this cool little stretch pattern, actually kind of an 8, 10, 12 on the E, 8, 10, 12 on the A, and then 9, 10, 12 on the D, 9, 10, 12 on the D, or the G, 10, 12, 13 on the B, and then we have 10, 12, 13 on the high E. It's kind of your major scale idea. So kind of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale. And we can even take all those pentatonic ideas that we were playing around with and kind of now think about it as a C major scale idea. So hammer-ons can work. Scale, or you could kind of play around with the slide ideas. Kind of drop the wrist around in the scale, kind of find some other sounds. You're going to kind of play around with that too. And that sound actually, because A keeps on being our home bass note, it can be kind of cool to start that same scale note-wise, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, from the A note. And you may want to kind of relate it to the C major scale as a ruler. So when we're playing the C major scale, we're playing C, D, E, F, G, A, and then B and C. But you could think about it as kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And kind of work that as kind of a ruler idea. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what can be very cool, since A is kind of our home bass note, is to kind of think about you playing those notes, but with A as home bass. And this is a little weird, but you could start on the low E 5th fret, kind of the A note, and then 7th fret is the B note, 8th fret is the C note, and then on the next string, your D is on 5th fret on the A, and then we got 7th fret for E, and then 8th fret for an F, and then 5th fret for the G, and then 5th fret, or 7th fret for the A note. So kind of the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, same notes as the major scale, but now we're thinking of A as home bass, and that's something called a mode of major. So now, shape-wise, this is where things get weird, is you'd be thinking of the A as 1, B is 2, C is a flat 3rd, and then D and E is kind of 4, 5, F's the flat 6, G is a flat 7, and then A is kind of back to 1. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. And that's a sound called Aeolian, or natural minor, for kind of using the C major scale, but you're thinking of the A as home bass. And you can even word that through that whole pattern, actually. We have kind of 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, and then 5, 7, 9, and then 5, 7, 9, and then we'd have 6, and then 8, and then 10, and then we'd have 7, 8, 10 on top. So kind of using that as kind of your scale over that chord would be cool, or skip it around in the pattern too. minor 7 chord. Right now we're kind of thinking about this as sort of the 1 chord, but it's a minor chord, so it's just kind of the 6th chord in the key of C to get the Aeolian sound. But another minor chord that it could be is it could be the 2 chord in the key of G major. You don't have to worry about that too much. But it would be a sound called Dorian if it was. And Dorian is very similar to Aeolian actually. We're going to do 1, 2, flat 3, and then 4, 5, and use the regular 6, and then do the flat 7, and then back to 1. So we got 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4. So it's very bright. Minor could be the 3 chord in the key of F, and you don't really have to worry about that too much. But if it was, then that would be a sound called Phrygian, which is kind of cool. And Phrygian, you're going 1, flat 2, flat 3, and then the 4, 5, flat 6, and then the flat 7, 1, and then the flat 2, flat 3, and then the 4, 5, and then flat 6, flat 7, and then 1, flat 2, and then flat 3, 4. So we got 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and then flat 7, 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4. Very dark kind of sound. Or another sound actually that can be very, very cool is something called Harmonic Minor, and this is playing against a minor 7 chord slightly, but 1, 2, flat 3, and then your 4, 5, flat 6, but then you do a regular 7, and then back to 1. So 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 7. Harmonic minor sound. So you might want to kind of play around with that too. Or there's another sound that we could use called Melodic Minor. And normally people think about this as going up, going down. I just think about it as one sound. It's kind of like the major scale, but you flat the third. So we're going 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the regular 7, and then you're back to 1. So it's very kind of bright, almost kind of feels like it's really playing against the chord, especially with the 7. Alphabet to play around with. Or another couple of sounds that you may want to play around with. One would be a Dorian with a sharp 4. Actually, there's all kinds of stuff. As long as you got a scale that has a root note, flat 3, and a 5, it'll sound pretty cool with this. So Dorian with a sharp 4 would be kind of your Dorian mode that we kind of talked about. But now instead of playing the 4, you'd be playing the sharp 4 of the scale. So 1, 2, flat 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, and then flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, sharp 4, we're kind of working over an A minor 7 chord, you could get really chord specific, because since we're playing over an A minor 7 chord, you could really use little A minors, and the notes that make up A minor start on an A note, and then we go to a C note, and then we got an E note. It's kind of the root and the flat 3 and the 5 of the chord, kind of A's and C's and E's. And you could even take those notes and just kind of find different places to play those notes on the guitar. And that's actually called an arpeggio, when you kind of break up the chord, kind of jumping between A's and C's and E's. Those notes in different places, and you may find little teeny chords actually kind of along the way, where for instance you could kind of even take your A minor chord shape, kind of the root position, and if you played just the G, B, and E of that, actually you'd be playing an A and a C and an E note, kind of a root of the chord, the third of the chord, or the flat 3 of the chord, and the E note would be the 5th, and we're kind of stacking that up. That's called a voicing. And normally I call out voicings from thick strings to skinnier strings. So this is kind of a root 3-5 voicing for an A minor chord. And that's called root position for that chord. There's a lot of other places you can play those 3 notes. So for instance, you could go to 5th fret on the G, 5th fret on the B, and 5th fret on the high E. And that's a little A minor chord. Now we're doing flat 3-5 and a root is kind of our voicing. And so that can be kind of a cool thing too. And normally in music, if you're stacking things up root 3-5, we call that root position. And if you stack it up 3-5 roots, we call that first inversion for a chord. And another place you may want to play an A minor, you could go 8th fret on the high E, 10 on the B, 9 on the G string, kind of a little D minor chord shape. And that's another place you could play the A minor chord. Now stacked it up 5 root flat 3. And that's called second inversion. And then from there, if we went to 14, 13, and 12, we can kind of get back to our root flat 3-5 voice. So we want to try little chords, kind of working that idea, root 3-5, 3-5 root, 5 root 3, root 3-5. Or you could go and find other places to play those voicings. So you could go to the D, G, and B and find a root flat 3-5, or a flat 3-5 root, or a 5 root flat 3. Kind of work those shapes and kind of find some little A minors that way. Or you could play it root flat 3-5 on the A, D, and G strings, and then the flat 3-5 root. Or you could go find a 5 root flat 3. So you want to kind of find some other shapes too. Or you could go to the E, A, and D and kind of find a root flat 3-5, or a flat 3-5 root, or a 5 root flat 3. So you could kind of go and find a lot of different little places and kind of play those chords, which can be kind of cool. You want to find little places where you can play A minor chords, or try and say some stuff with little chords. Or because we're jamming over an A minor 7 chord, well, we could kind of add another note to the chord. Actually, right now we're doing A's and C's and E's. It's kind of our root flat 3-5. But we could add G notes. It's kind of a flat 7 to the A. So kind of root flat 3-5, flat 7 to 5. And you could even work that as kind of that arpeggio idea, kind of finding different places to play that chord. Root flat 3-5, flat 7 to 5. Finding A's and C's and E's and G notes on the guitar to kind of find those shapes. There's a lot of things you can say with just those chords too, actually. It's very, very close to a pentatonic scale as well, actually. We're just leaving out the 4. But there are also some other chord voicings you may want to play around with that. Now, our root position for piano voice, and this is weird, sometimes we talk about stacking up some things, kind of like the piano, and I call this piano voicings, where you could kind of take the A on the D string 7, and then the G and the B, this is going to be a pain in the butt, but G and the B on the 5th fret, and then first finger could go to the high E on the 3rd fret for kind of an A, C, E, and a G. So I'm stacking things up, root, flat 3-5, flat 7, and that's kind of a piano idea. Normally a piano player would play like that. And because it's stretches, normally we adjust these voicings. But these can be kind of interesting to kind of look at for the guitar too. So your next voicing would kind of be working the flat 3, 5, flat 7, and then the root. Kind of be a piano voicing for an A minor. That's a weird deal. Or you could go 5, and then flat 7, root, and then flat 3. This is going to be kind of a pain in the butt. Kind of working it that way. Or you could do 7, and then root, and then flat 3, 5. That seems quite so bad. It ends up being really big stretches on the guitar. So normally, rather than using piano voicings, we kind of make an adjustment to make things easier. And normally, it's something called a drop 2 voicing. Like if you took the piano voicing, we started with kind of root, flat 3, 5, flat 7. And if you took the second voice above the root, kind of the E note, and dropped it below the root, then we'd readjust that into kind of a 5 root, flat 3, and then a flat 7 voicing for an A minor. And that's something called a drop 2 voicing for an A. So we kind of took those voicings, kind of drop 2 voicings, and looked at them on the D, G, and B, and E strings. You can start out with kind of the root position with the D string on the 7 for your root. Pinky could kind of go to the G on the 9 for the 5. Second finger on the B string 8th for the flat 7, and third finger on the high E 8th for the flat 3. So now it's a root 5, flat 7, flat 3 voicing for an A minor 7. That's going to be very good. Then your next voicing, you can kind of work off the A on the B string 10, flat 3's on the D10, flat 7's on the G12, and the 5's on the high E12. Would work off the G string on the 14th fret A, and you could do the 5 below it, kind of on the 14th, flat 3 on the B string 13, flat 7 on the high E on the 15. It's kind of like a little A minor 7. You might be more familiar with it down the neck, on the 2nd fret, and then 1st fret, 3rd fret. So now our voicing is kind of 5 root, flat 3, flat 7. Or my favorite one actually is the what we call the 3rd inversion. 7 chords, where you can do 5th fret on the D, G, B, and E. And now it's kind of a flat 3, flat, or flat 7, flat 3, 5 root voicing. So just a 1-finger deal over the top 4 strings. So you may want to kind of play around with those voicings too. Kind of working that root 5, 7, 3. Or we could work it as our 3, 7, root 5. Or we could work it as our 5, root 3, 7. Or we could work it as our 7, 3, 5 root. Say some things with those chords. So that might be kind of a cool thing to kind of go over those chords too. And something else that can be kind of cool is to take those voicings and then try them on different sets of strings. So you could take those voicings and then try and find them on the A, D, G, and B. So you could have the root 5, 7, 3. And then from root 5, 7, 3, then we could kind of work the 3, and then the 7, and then root 5. That's kind of a pain in the butt. Or we could work the 5, root 3, 7. Kind of work it that way. Or we could do the 7, and then the 3, and then the 5, and then the roots. Kind of find those voicings on the next strings down. Down. That way. So find those. Or you could take the next strings, kind of the E, A, D, and G, and look for those same voicings. So root 5, 7, 3. Or you could work with the 3, 7, root 5. Or you could work the 5, root 3, flat 7. Or we could work the 7, 3, 5 roots. Some other places to play those chords too. So we want to kind of take those voicings and kind of play around with them on different strings too. So that might be some cool, words to have in your bag of tricks. Or you can do something called drop 3 voicings. This is a little weird, but normally you'd have that root 3, 5, 7 that the piano players playing. So with these voicings, we'd be taking that G note, kind of that 7, and putting it below the chord. This is a little weird. So you can kind of do the low E string for a G note, for instance, and then think an A minor shape on the D, G, and B would be a 7/5 root 3 voicing. It's called a drop 2 voicing. Sounds really nasty, or drop 3 voicing. Sounds really nasty with that G in the bass there with that 7. But then your next voicing for drop 3s would kind of be working root 7/3/5, which is kind of a cool deal. And working E string, D, G, and B. So you could have the roots, and then the 7, and then the 3, and then the 5. It's kind of like a little A minor chord shape. Kind of working that from the A12 to 12, 12, 13, 12. So we're kind of holding down to get that. And then our next voicing, we have kind of the flat 3, and then our roots, and then our 5, and then our flat 7. That idea and then try it on the A, G, and then the G, B, and E. But it can also be kind of cool to take those ideas, actually all those ideas, and mix them up. So you could start with the scale idea, for instance, chord idea, maybe different scale idea, chord idea, different scale. Idea. So we kind of play around with kind of mixing things up too. Or something else I like to do when I'm kind of jamming out is to kind of take one lick idea and then kind of add something to it. So you may take a little idea and then add a little something else to it. And then add a little more to it. And then add a little bit more to it. And then add a little bit more to it. And then add a little bit more to it. Or you could kind of mix it up too. Or never underestimate the power of repetition. So if you find a cool idea, you might want to kind of mix it up with the rhythm and just kind of repeat that one idea. Even something silly, actually. It's always kind of a weird thing. It's like you write the most complex, coolest lick of all time and nobody cares. You take one note and bend the hell out of it and people are like, yes, I love you. You're awesome. So you may want to kind of play around with that too. But the main thing is to kind of explore all these sounds. There's kind of little alphabets and little chords to say stuff with. That way if you got kind of a sound in your head over that chord, you'll kind of know where to go for it. And you may want to experiment with mixing those up too. of the chord, there's lots of different ways to kind of fill in those spaces in between. I hope that helps to kind of give you some vocabulary of things that you can say over A minor chords. And if you get really good at kind of jamming over that one chord, actually, if you were playing over a different minor chord, you would just take all the things that we're talking about and kind of move it over to wherever that minor chord might happen to be on the guitar. So, best of luck. Have fun jamming.